Where can you find bigger homes on larger lots with killer bay views? There's a lot to love about living in the Mills Estates neighborhood in Burlingame, and today I'm gonna take you all around the neighborhood, and then we'll pop into a listing of mine that is updated and has amazing bay views. To learn more about living in San Mateo County, join me every Monday at 5 p.m. for a new video. So when people think about Burlingame, they typically think about older homes, creaky hardwood floors, arched doorways, and all that. That is not Mills Estates. Mills Estates doesn't necessarily feel like it's part of Burlingame because it's master planned. There's larger lots that are flat, a little bit less character than you'd find in some of the older Burlingame neighborhoods like Burlingame Park or Easton Addition or Burlingame Gables. But it's actually super popular, and I'm a huge fan of the neighborhood. Let's talk about the location. So we are west of El Camino, kind of south of Truesdale, but technically Burlingame goes a couple blocks north of Truesdale, and that's still Mills Estates. And then on the north side of Mills Estates is a neighborhood in Millbrae called Mills Estate. It's kind of confusing. Most people don't realize that, but there's Mills Estates in Burlingame and Mills Estate in Millbrae. And then on the western side of the neighborhood, that is Skyline Boulevard and 280. And then just immediately south of the neighborhood is the Burlingame Hills neighborhood, which is very different from Mills Estates. So why would someone want to live in Mills Estates? Well, you're gonna get a lot better value, price per square foot being in the hills of Burlingame. That's actually Mills Estates and Burlingame Hills compared to the flatter neighborhoods. Why is that? Well, there's just more demand for being in the flat areas. So it's not that people don't want to live up here. It's just there's more people who want to be flat and walkable than who want to be in the hills. But if you want to be in the hills, you're going to love it up here because it's a little bit more quiet. You're going to get a larger lot. There's a ton of lots up here that are 7, 8, 9,000 square feet. Whereas in the flats, you're more likely to be on a 5 or 6,000 square foot lot, with the exception of Burlingame Park, where you see some larger lots than 6,000, a lot more like 7 to 10,000. And then people also love living up here because you get these great views, which we'll show you in a little bit. And then of course, if you value being close to 280 for commuting, so say you work in South San Francisco in biotech, you just pop up Truesdale, take 280 north, 380, boom, you're right there. If you work in San Francisco and you want to take 280, okay, that's great. If you work down south at a large company in the South Bay, 280 is a great way to do that. So I've had clients who have bought up here, and for those reasons, they really love it. For Burlingame homebuyers who want to be in a flat neighborhood, they might say to me, Raziel, look, I really want to be like walking distance to a shop or restaurant. For people who choose to buy in Mills Estates, I've heard comments from clients who say things like, look, we don't need to be like 5 blocks from downtown Burlingame or 2 blocks to Broadway. We can be up here, and if we have to drive 5, 6, 7 minutes to take our kid to soccer practice at Murray Field or go to the grocery store, that's really not a big deal to us. We like the quiet, we like the privacy. So again, it's not a right or wrong thing, but that's just things that I've heard over time that kind of draw people to the neighborhood. The interesting thing from a history perspective about Mills Estates is people sometimes think, well, why is it so different from the rest of Burlingame? Well, a long, long time ago, this whole neighborhood was filled with oak trees, and it was just beautiful. I mean, it's still beautiful now, of course. The lore or legend has it, there's a couple different stories that I've heard from Burlingame historians, that Truesdale was one of the main developers of the neighborhood. And Truesdale was having some friction with the city. So he came in overnight and basically bulldozed the whole hillside. You can see this picture, which is kind of crazy, taken from the air right after the whole hillside was bulldozed. It's not that great of a picture. It looks like a bomb went off. But anyways, as a result of that, they were able to build a really nice neighborhood and have all these flat pads. So even though we're about to go up a big slope here, every house is on a mostly flat pad. Not every home has the kitchen and main living area on the same level as the yard, but most do. And that's another big reason why I love the floor plans up here. So for example, the type of floor plans that we have in Mills Estates, I would argue off the bat, they could be among the best in Burlingame. Well, they probably are. I'm a huge fan of ranch style homes, right? So you get these large 1-level homes, and you can get that because these are larger lots. So you could find a 2,500 square foot 1-level house on an 8,000 foot lot. You just can't find that anywhere else in Burlingame. You can see that more like in the San Mateo Highlands with all the Eichlers there. We have a little pocket here that of Eichlers that we'll talk about in a minute. It allows the kitchen to open up to the yard, which is very popular. You're more likely to get a 2-car garage in Mills Estates that's attached than anywhere else in Burlingame, and in my view, that's a huge selling feature. The other benefit of having a really large flat lot, you probably already know this, is you tend to see a higher percentage of homes in Mills Estates that has swimming pools than anywhere else in Burlingame. Burlingame's not really a big swimming pool market just because of the lot size. In Hillsboro, which is very close by, of course, 55% of homes there have pools. But like, let's take a look at this. This is a typical Mills Estates rancher, and it has a 2-car attached garage here, which is pretty cool. Now, roof looks good. Home looks a little bit more like it hasn't been updated in a while, but this is very common for what we see in Mills Estates. And then we for sure see some homes that have been beautifully renovated. I sold a home on Dolores a few months ago that was on about an 8,000 foot lot and landed in the mid $3 million range, totally renovated, large open floor plan, great flow to the yard. I think someone could open up the kitchen a little bit more if they wanted to, but that was in the mid threes. I had another listing that sold recently right around the corner, a few doors in off of Truesdale and about a block away from Franklin Elementary School, which is the elementary school for the Mills Estates neighborhood. And that was a 4-bedroom, also 1-level house on about an 8,000 foot lot. That one ended up selling in the higher $3 million range. And that one was totally move-inable as well. Now someone might choose to do some updating, but you can kind of get the idea. So for pricing, Mills Estates, we're gonna start out in kind of the higher 2s, but to be sub 3 million, the home needs to be mostly original. If the home is move-inable, and by move-inable, everyone has a different definition of what is move-inable, but something that one could live in that's not totally renovated is my view. And so I would say if you see the original, that'll be under 3. If it's been refreshed or updated over the years, that's gonna be more low to mid 3s. And if it's totally renovated, that's gonna be high 3s up to low 4s. The property that I'm gonna take you in a few minutes is gonna be kind of a blend of all of those, which I think you're really gonna love. Another reason why some people choose not to buy in Mills Estates is because it is super hilly, right? So if you're envisioning going for a walk every morning in a flat walkable neighborhood, this is not gonna check the box. But if you're like, hey, I wanna get a little cardio in, I wanna get my heart rate up, of course, like right here where we are right now, you know, on Martinez, this is totally flat. But as we start, if I go another several hundred feet this way, it starts going up the hill. That's like probably 500-600 feet of vertical. So it's gonna be a good workout. Well, there's a woman who's just out for a run in the neighborhood. So people are very active here, just like they are in anywhere in Burlingame. So if you're curious which neighborhood in Burlingame may or may not be a good fit for what you're looking for, please reach out to me. All my contact info is below. And I love chatting with nice people who are thinking about buying or selling anywhere in San Mateo County. Now, it might be kind of hard to see, and I'm a little lazy perhaps, but I wanted to take you to the top of the hill here. And I didn't want to get too sweaty because I already went to the gym this morning. Shout out to Burlingame Fitness on Park Road, downtown Burlingame. You guys are the best. Sorry to have my workout, but it's probably hard seeing out the window here, but it is, you know, kind of steep, right? And so for a lot of the videos that we do, I like walking everywhere, but here, it's like, let's just go up there. So now I'm gonna take you to Cuernavaca Park, and I wanna show you how pretty it is and the great views. We'll be there in a sec. So we're at the top of the hill here. There's only about another block to go west before we hit Skyline Boulevard, and we're at Cuernavaca Park. Now it's worth mentioning, you might already know this, but we have 12 neighborhoods in Burlingame and we have 19 parks. We're the city of trees. There's trees everywhere. It is so beautiful. It's such a privilege to live here. And the parks that we have are so spectacular. They're well maintained. Why is this all so beautiful? Okay, there's 2 big reasons why Burlingame is just so lush and so well taken care of. And that is because we have 2 big sources of tax revenue that many people aren't aware of. So all of the airport hotels at SFO, almost all of them are in the city of Burlingame, which is crazy. And so that throws off an occupancy tax of 14%. And pre-COVID, that threw off about $25 to $30 million a year. That went to the Burlingame General Fund. And I remember seeing a few months ago for Memorial Day that we were at 92% of pre-pandemic visits to SFO. So the economy is basically back. And the other big source of tax revenue that we have here in Burlingame is the Auto Row, which pre-COVID would throw off about $5 to $7 million a year. So if you walk around, you're like, wow, look at this park over here. Look at this beautiful view that we have here. Like right now, I can see an airplane just took off in the distance. A minute ago, oh, there's another one. I see airplane landing. So if you live in the Mills Estates neighborhood, you get to enjoy that. Like it's a pretty relaxing view. You know, I can see all the way out right now to Mount Diablo in the East Bay. There's some trees blocking it, but on the other side of the trees, you can see Salesforce Tower in downtown San Francisco. This is really nice. I remember going in this field a few years ago for some BYBA training, which is the Burlingame Youth baseball association when I was just an assistant coach, but that was a lot of fun. This park gets a lot of action over here for people who live in the neighborhood. We have 3 basketball hoops here. What other recreation is nearby though, if you live in Mills Estates? One of my favorite places to go for a long walk is Sawyer Camp Trail in San Mateo. So that's right kind of by 92 and the reservoir. And you just can hike from the south to the north. It's paved. You can ride bikes there, strollers, every age. It's really fantastic. My mom used to go there all the time. You could easily pop on 280 and head down south to Huntert Park at Woodside, which is one of my favorite places just to be period in the Bay Area, just hiking amidst the redwoods. There's so much that's going on, and this is a nice central location. The other thing that I must tell you about are these super cool types of houses in the Mills Estates neighborhood, which are called Eichlers. If you haven't heard of them, they are one-level homes, like you can check out this beautiful one here. They're developed in the 1960s by a developer named Joseph Eichler. He did about 10,000 of these homes throughout the state, and there's a huge neighborhood in San Mateo called the Highlands where there's over 900 of these homes. There's another pocket in Palo Alto, another one 19th Avenue Park in San Mateo, and then in Mills Estates here. And the concept at the time was very few exterior windows, walls of glass with an interior courtyard, with the walls of glass kind of around the perimeter of the courtyard and the walls of glass all on the rear side of the house. So these are pretty sweet floor plans. You can actually check out, we have a couple videos that we did recently all about Eichlers and why people really love them. Some people, it's less their thing, but the people who do love them, they're huge into them. But the one other thing I'll say is the floor plans are solid A. They're really good floor plans and people love them. You can see this is the outside of an Eichler that we featured in a recent video here. But if you kind of take a look inside a few of these clips here, you kind of see what I'm talking about, how open it is. I love how the slate floor that's in the courtyard. Oh, that's so cool. A Waymo just drove all the way around us while we're here. It's not everywhere in Burlingame right now, but it's everywhere that's west of California Drive. So not in Burlingame Gables and not in Lion Hogue. Just like kind of went around you, right? Yeah. So anyways, it's really cool how the homeowners here they had slate floor in the courtyard atrium, and then they continued it throughout the whole house. So it's a pretty unique feature, I think. I haven't seen that in any other type of floor plan. You get really high ceilings and just good flow. Most Eichlers are on larger lots as well. So before we pop inside this really cool house, what is the closest shopping in Mills Estates? It's basically Burlingame Plaza, which is at the corner of El Camino and Truesdale. Now, it's not a destination where you'd go on a date night like you would on Burlingame Ave or Broadway or downtown San Mateo, but there's a Lunardi's grocery store there. There's a Chipotle, there's Neil's, there's a great breakfast spot. There's a Lefty's trading card place. So there's a lot going on right there. There's a CVS and it's convenient. So that's all we'll say about that. Okay, let's pop inside this house. You know, it's in very, very good condition, but I wouldn't say there's still some opportunities, which I think is pretty nice. So for example, we've got all this juniper here that if I were buying this home, I'd probably consider removing everything here just to kind of open up the space a little bit more. And let's go inside. So this is the best part of the house, which is the view. So I want to show you that. Well, it's pretty large for a home in Burlingame. For Mills Estates, it's on the bigger side. So about 2,700 square feet, 4 bedrooms on 1 level. Plus there's another permitted room downstairs, which could be used as a bedroom, flex space. We'll check that out. But this is kind of my favorite part of the house. Now, this home is not yet on the market, so it's a little bit different from our other videos. Usually you're kind of seeing with the staging and everything, but this is the best part. So over here is the view. I'm looking at, I don't know, like a dozen airplanes ready to take off. It is so pretty. And so you've got all this natural light that's kind of coming in here. And then for where we are on the block, it just kind of loops around. So you don't get a lot of through traffic here. Obviously this is the living space and this is a pretty big setup. Now in the kitchen here, there's a possibility where someone could consider opening all this up. It'd be a little bit of a creative challenge because on the other side of this are the stairs going down to the lower level. So you might want to be okay with this, but it's something that I would for sure explore. Kitchen is really nice. We've got some new countertops that were put in, new induction cooktop, newer range, newer dishwasher, well actually new dishwasher. So these appliances are all new. We've got a new fridge, new double oven. The floors in here were recently refinished. We have new lighting. So this is totally move-inable. Now if someone wanted to come in and do a large project, they totally could, right? So we've got all the original cabinetry here, but someone could consider opening the kitchen up a little bit more this way. So I'd probably consider removing this. Cost-wise would be negligible, right? So you just would have to do a ceiling patch. I might consider adding in some recessed or can lighting in here, but right now, if we're going in the market, we just have some very simple track lighting there. We have some good flow of the yard, which we'll check out in a sec, but let me kind of take you to the other wing of the house, which is again really nice in Mills Estates with these good floor plans. This is the steps to downstairs, which we'll come back to. All right, so we're gonna check out the bedroom wing of the house. I'm such a huge fan. I love these floor plans in Mills Estates because, in the flatter neighborhoods on these smaller, cuter houses, everything's a little bit more close together. And here, everywhere you look outside the house, it's not like you're seeing another house that's kind of in your mix or a bedroom looking into your backyard. I mean, yes, you can see that up here, but you're less likely to see that here than in a flat neighborhood. So we've got 4 bedrooms in a row here, plus a hall bath. And the hall bath here, again, it's more original. It's move-inable, but I think someone would want to probably go ahead and renovate that. If you were to do this bathroom, I think you're looking cost anywhere from $25,000 to $40,000 if you're taking it down the studs, permits, all that. This is our front bedroom, looking out at the street. A lot of natural light coming in here. Again, very simple. Some low-hanging fruit that I would do personally is replace all these outlets and the switches. Like, it just kind of irks me with this color. Again, it's super minor. It's not going to affect anything, but I'd probably consider, swapping those out for something that's like white, like the Lutron decor line would be pretty good. All right, this is bedroom number 2. This has a very cool Japanese shoji screens, and they're very fragile. They kind of go like this, and that's kind of the fun thing. You see a lot of people's personalities in their homes, and obviously for selling homes, sometimes we want to keep things as neutral as possible, but in this case, I really love these, and I thought they added a nice design touch, and we're happy to leave them, but this will be staged as a bedroom, and this is actually a primary suite. There's a bigger one over here, but this is another suite with it's a fairly small shower, but again, it totally works. Now, bedroom 3, which is kind of interesting. You kind of go into this, starts to feel like you're in the main primary suite, but there's actually a 3rd bedroom here. The amount of space from a setback between here and the other house, I think right now it's about 10 feet. I think the setback is only 5 feet. So if you want to expand the house, perhaps you'd want to look into that with the city. And I can kind of see some of the windows for the other house, but again, it's pretty private. And usually for sale, we remove most window coverings from the house. So that's it lets in a lot more light, and window coverings are very personal. So unless they're very high-end custom treatments, they're usually gone. All right, let's go check out the primary suite. Oh, we did put in new carpets. The old ones were we thought the home could benefit from a fresh look here. This was an addition a long time ago. It doesn't really feel like that, but they did a great job. It's a pretty long and a little bit narrower room, so dimensions are maybe a little bit more unusual. You could consider, if you wanted to, sometimes we'll see people open up like some double French doors here or here to the yard. Personally, I don't think I would do it here, but I might consider doing it over here. And if you're into hot tubbing, this would be a great spot to put a hot tub and maybe a little privacy, so you can kind of go out from your yard into there, maybe do a cold plunge, get on that bandwagon if you want. And then you also, from the primary suite here, I'm looking dead straight on at views of the runway, which is nice. All right, so let's head downstairs. While we're heading downstairs, let me talk to you about the condition of the house. So this house actually has a concrete tile roof, and these are more common in Mills Estates. You don't really see them in some of the older, more historic homes in the flat part of Burlingame, but they last a very, very long time. You can replace them obviously whenever they need it, but these are gonna last longer, my understanding, than composition shingle, and of course way longer than wood. So a lot of times with these older houses, they might have this older room that was kind of added on and feels a little quirky, whatever, but that is not the case here. So come on down. And sometimes the stairs that we'll see going down to a lower level, they're like kind of non-conforming, meaning they don't feel like normal stairs. But here, it's just a normal staircase. And so I think you're really gonna love this downstairs room. It's technically not a bedroom from a legal perspective for like ingress and egress, but obviously you could use it as a bedroom if you wanted, or it could be work from home space, could be a little yoga studio. It could be really awesome for an au pair. Obviously there's dozens of different uses. I mean, this could be a lounge. And then there's a bathroom down here. Now, this is a half bath. It's nothing special. And you can barely see it. I mean, it's just a place with a toilet and that's it. But because there's plumbing here, If you want to put a full bath in here and pull the room a little bit, or pull a bathroom out and have a smaller room there, that would be low hanging fruit. You may not want to because you like the size of the space, but that is something that I believe that you could do here. And the ceiling height for being on the ground level here is pretty good, right? It's probably 7 feet. Well, I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess. And then we kind of talked a little bit earlier about having 2-car attached garages. Well, lucky us, we do have a 2-car attached garage here, which, you know, it's fine. I mean, you look at this garage and most of the country, you look at this, you're like, this is no big deal, this is cool. Like, why is there this random, you know, support column? But this is Burlingame. This is no big deal. This is awesome. So you've got a lot of space there. Now in Burlingame, I would say 80–90% of buyers say, I want to have a garage that I can park in. But 80–90% of buyers who buy homes, I'd say that they do not park in the garages because they moved down from San Francisco or they're renting locally and they find out this is what the reality of the market is. But here, you can park on the street. You can have 2 cars parked on the driveway. And so yes, you could put 2 cars in here, and I believe that my clients did because they've got like a little like carpet here wrapped around here for protection. So you could do that. There's a lot of possibilities. You could actually convert this to a junior ADU if you wanted. A junior ADU is an ADU within the footprint of the house. There's no parking requirement. The rules changed in January 2020. So if you want to do that, you could. Now, from a value perspective, you have to do a really good job here. And we also have the mechanical. So over here, we have the furnace, we have a hot water heater, we have their washer dryer. Some people might prefer to have a washer dryer on the main level, but that's not the case here. So if you were to convert this to a junior ADU, then you'd probably have to solve where these mechanicals are gonna go, or maybe just do a wall here. So there's a lot of possibilities, and that's kind of the thing that I like about Mills Estates. If you wanna live in this neighborhood, you're gonna have a lot of possibilities on how you can kind of customize the home because there's so much space that it's gonna be harder to get in a flatter neighborhood where it's gonna cost you more, and you're gonna get a little bit less lot, and you're gonna get a little bit less house. So for yards in Mills Estates, this one's really nice. I would probably give it like a B because an A yard would be totally flat. Now, again, this is not like you shouldn't buy this or you should buy this. And that's kind of why I like sharing all these homes with you, is kind of place them in a proper context when you think about what else you can get in the neighborhood. And I'm removing price from the equation because this is obviously a totally awesome house, right? Okay, but more people would prefer a flatter yard. Now this yard, of course, is totally flat. This is the kind of area that I was talking about, where if you were to do a hot tub for the primary suite, maybe I'd consider putting this in double French doors here. You don't have to, but if you did do it, then that would go out here. I think it'd be maybe a little aggressive to put an ADU back here because you still need to have, I believe in Burlingame, it's a 4-foot setback off that fence and off that fence. Could be kind of small, but you could maybe put something in here that's a 10 by 10. I believe you can do 10 by 10 with no permit required, but you can't do plumbing and electrical. It just would be a utility space. But check with the city on that. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I'll show you, there's actually a lower level here in the yard. And this could be really cool. Actually, we'll walk down this way. If you're into gardening or you envision having a garden, then this is kind of the nice thing about having the split level yard. Obviously, I do like the one level, but due to the topography of the lot, I think this is a really, really good use case. And so we've kind of just thrown some bark down here, just kind of freshen it up, but it wouldn't really be that hard to rent irrigation here. Like a newer system, this is a little bit older here, just kind of spring water from up top. And we do get pretty good natural light. We have these beautiful Japanese maples here. Now fence is interesting. So you can have usually a 6-foot fence with a 1-foot lattice on top, but obviously this makes me look really tall. So it's just, I think it's probably sunk a little bit over time, or maybe this is just kind of how they built it, because there's still plenty of privacy from the neighbors. But if I were to do this from scratch, I'd probably do 6 feet from there and then with the lattice. But you can check with the city on the specific requirements. They're not by neighborhood, it's just for the whole city. So I kind of like this. And then I'll show you lastly, this other part of the yard. So we had a huge setback that we could see on the other side. And then from here, I believe this is also about 10 feet from the house. Well, actually it's way more than that. I think it's actually 20 feet from the house to, let's actually poke the camera up the top here so you can kind of see if that's possible. And you can kind of see how far away the line goes. There's a lot more juniper down there. So over here, I'd probably just kind of let it be. If you want to put shuffleboard in, you could do shuffleboard, but we have the trash cans at the end of the kind of this concrete area. So this would be the last area that I would focus on if I was doing a little bit of a remodel. If I was going to do something with the space down here, I'd probably invest some dollars into landscaping. So when I'm looking out here, I'm not just seeing a redwood fence, but I'm seeing some vines and a little bit more color which why not? Let's get the color in here. You already have the irrigation, you're paying your water bill, might as well have something big and beautiful growing here. All right, so I hope this gives you a little bit more context all about Mills Estates. If you're thinking about making a move anywhere within San Mateo County, you're renting and you're looking for a bigger home or moving down from the city, whatever is your background, I love talking about anything real estate related in Burlingame or the whole area. All my contact info is in the description below. And to see more about what it's like living in Burlingame and comparing neighborhoods, check out this video. I'll see you guys on the next video.